because I don't want to go. And I'm
All right.
It's the Bilbrey and Clark Show. Two middle-aged troublemakers, no script, zero political correctness, and maximum opinions. If you're looking for safe, polite chit-chat, you're in the wrong place. So get ready for a no-filter dive into current events, pop culture, and maybe even a midlife crisis or two. With plenty of sarcasm, laughter, and perhaps a profound thought from time to time. Tune in, turn it up, and let's roll, because this is the Bilbrey and Clark Show.
The fact that we've called in the body doubles for that introduction is crazy to me. That is hilarious.
love it.
Maybe that's something that we can aim for. By the end of this show, we'll look like those bodies.
I showed it to Ryan, and she said, "That makes you look fatter than you are, Mom." And I go, "Thanks a lot."
All right. Well, I am Christopher Bilbrey.
And I'm Rachel Clark, and this is the Bilbrey and Clark Show.
Fantastic. So this is take 2 on the first episode. I think the first run through. Where people will probably see bits and pieces as I'm going to chop that up and use them for shorts or other content. But I think this will probably be the first episode. Planning to air, drop on the 27th of this month, the 27th of September. That's your birthday. The day before your birthday. The episode 001 of the Bilbrey Clark Show drops Saturday, September 27th. Yay, that's when this is. So you're watching this 3 p.m. And then from this point forward, episodes will drop every Saturday at 3 p.m. So that's that will be our schedule until something changes. So okay, well, this is probably a good episode to start with because there's a lot of things that we could talk about. And it's kind of a weird thing because obviously the point of the show is not just politics. It's primarily not going to be politics.
Right. No politics. Minimal politics.
Minimal. I'm sure we'll talk about politics from time to time. However, unfortunately, and I guess it's just the way that it is, that this show, I guess it'll have like a political undertone, but it's more I look at it more as a cultural event with obviously what's going on with the death of Charlie Kirk and all of the reactions and everything. So, what is your involvement with Charlie Kirk's content? Is that someone that you followed? Is it someone you've not followed? What's your thought on that before we get into the actual event? What was your understanding of Charlie Kirk?
Oh, I've watched him quite a bit. I mean, I think anybody who's on TikTok has seen him, familiar with him. But I mean, I was a fan. A lot of people are going to be like, ugh, but no, I mean, I liked watching what he talked about. And it's not even just one side or the other. It is about, I felt like he was a person who tried to open lines of communication. While everybody says, well, he used this for a platform. Well, he also gave every young person or any person, even if they were opposing sides, a platform that they would not had. The average person that went up and grabbed a microphone to talk to him would have never made it on a national platform. So while he gave himself a platform, he gave a platform to a lot of people who had completely opposite thoughts, beliefs as he did. So
would you just, coming obviously from watching him on TikTok, would you just watch the short blurbs, or have you ever went through and watched the long shows where they recorded from start to finish, or did you ever listen to his actual the Charlie Kirk show? Did you ever watch that, or did you just
I did, but I am a quick gratification ADD person, so it is hard for me to sit and watch anything beginning to end. But yeah, I mean, like if I was driving, I would listen.
Okay.
But I just got more gratification out of the quick clips.
Okay. So clearly that then means you are a racist and a bigot. You're filled with hate, which is what I'm hearing. Because even I just dare to say, like, I don't know that he should have been killed. And everyone's like, obviously, well, that makes me a bigot and a racist and filled with hate. So at
Here's
least,
my thought is, how about we just be good human beings? Like I don't want death. I don't wish death on anyone. I don't care. Whenever I get into a debate on Facebook with someone, and people can go back and find it where I'm like, you know what? I disagree with you, but you were so well spoken. Good for you. Like I encourage people to have a different opinion than mine.
oh, yeah,
It makes for a
sure.
good debate. And I believe if you look up the definition of an educated person, it's, two people who can debate. And, that's the whole point of a good debate and education is being able to take those facts of what's being stated and draw your own conclusion from it. So, I think it's a good thing but it's just about being a good human being. And we all need to if everyone put the time and energy they're putting into having an opinion as to whether Charlie was a good guy, a bad guy, I guarantee every person in America has spent at least 10 hours since his death talking about an opinion of one way or the other. If we would take that 10 hours and put it towards being a good human being, can you imagine what would change in just a very short matter of time?
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, it's so frustrating. So, okay. Well, obviously, on September 10th, 2025, he was doing a college tour. It was kicking off a new, I guess, season of college tours that he was going to do. And during I think the second question that he was asked, obviously people are aware that he was shot and killed. And it's just been total madness since that has happened. Obviously, an alleged shooter is in custody. I believe they said that they caught him like some 35 hours from the shooting, which is a pretty quick turnaround time there. But so where do you where do you want to go into this? Are you watching the madness that's occurring?
I am.
That's happened since then with everyone either cheering or whatever. And I want to be very clear about this. Like, I'm a First Amendment rights defender all the way. I feel like people can say what they want. I feel like you have a right to be ignorant if you so choose. You can spout hate and racism and just horrible things. That's the definition of the First Amendment. If people that I dislike can't speak and say the hateful shit that I don't like, then we don't have a First Amendment. I can't say the things that I like. So, doesn't mean we have to listen. That's the thing that everyone gets wrong. You have a right to speak. You don't have a right to be heard. So I feel like that's the thing that everybody demands. Everybody demands to be heard. Well, you don't need to be heard, or you don't necessarily get to be heard. You get to speak, but then we get to decide if we're going to listen or, I guess, give you any kind of value to what you're saying. So, to me, the people speaking and saying just outrageous things, if you're a private citizen, I might think, oh, that's disgusting. Or I might even comment and say, like, you're wrong. That's crazy. This is horrible what you're saying. But I don't care. I'm not calling for these people to be fired. I think that's crazy. I'm not a big person in cancel culture. But if you are a public servant, if you're someone that is elected, appointed, and you're making statements where there's people out there that's celebrating his death, and that's vile in my opinion, but have at it if you want to celebrate his death. When you're calling for more violence because of the way that people think, that's where I think, okay, we need to look at that and determine if this is okay or not. So You've obviously followed the situation with the gentleman in Muncie who was an appointed. He didn't get paid. This wasn't a day job. He was appointed as a member to the Muncie City Human Rights Commission, and he was actually the president. The board votes among themselves every year to who their leadership is going to be. He was the president of the Muncie Human Rights Commission, and he had said something pretty. What?
I saw it. I read it.
Yeah, pretty crazy. And so, what are your thoughts about that?
Ooh, this is my thought. I've worked in city government. I've been part of that. They all have social media policies. So he has broken every policy that the city of Muncie has for his position. So if you take all of that out, it's about following the rules. And here's a guy who couldn't even follow the rules of what he is told to do. Hey, if you're going to be on this, you're representing the city, and I think they're very specific in the expectations. So the fact that he had no regard for what he was representing, that says a lot. That, and it upset people. And when you are involved in, like the human rights or any position within a government, your job is to look out for all of the people, everyone. The pro Charlie Kirks, the anti Charlie Kirks, the pro anything and the anti anything. Your job is to encompass all of them. So the moment that you step out against any of them, then every person who would come before that board or there would be anything brought up, how can you, if it doesn't go your way, you're instantly going to be able to say, well, you weren't, you were not having my best interest. You were not looking for my human rights. Look at how you posted this. It opens up Pandora's box that, unfortunately, if you say that you want to represent, that commission or any committee, then you kind of have to take your personal beliefs out of it. You're there. Anytime you're in a position of politics, you're not there for your personal agenda, supposedly. You're there to represent everyone in that community, every person that falls under the umbrella, in my opinion.
Well,
do you disagree?
What?
Do you disagree?
No. So I want to be clear. So Charlie Kirk was shot and killed like in the afternoon. I think it might have been like around 2:30, 3:30, like our time here in East Central Indiana. He was in Utah.
Yep. And
it was around noon Utah time, so about 2 or 3 o'clock our time. I think 2:30. 3:30, whatever. Anyways, and what had actually happened was a person in the Muncie, Delaware County community who is a very outspoken, progressive, left-leaning, liberal Democrat. That's how I think people would consider this person. I know this person, and I know that there's a lot of things that make this person a progressive liberal, but I also know that this person holds a lot of moderate views as well and has even some conservative views. And this person had made a post that said, I guarantee you this person did not like Charlie Kirk, did not like anything about Charlie Kirk. But this person said, we do not murder people that we disagree with, and made that post. And I thought, okay, that's a really good post. I'll be honest. I mean, I know this person, so I know this person's not just vile, but I was very proud that this person posted that. And then there were several comments underneath that original post, and there were people that were disagreeing with the original poster, and there were a lot of things that were going on. And one of those people that were in the comments and either disagreeing or stating differing points was this Stephen Knipp. And Stephen Knipp is...
I hate you said his name. I don't even feel like he deserves publicity. It bothers me.
Right. Yeah, I get it. Well, so he was in there and he made a post that originally said, we do murder those we disagree with. We do murder, and some people were like, whoa, that's kind of insane. But even that post, I get where he said, because he goes on and he says, what do we do in war? That's what a war is. You're going to war with people that you disagree with, and people are killing each other. So, I can kind of understand that. And then he went on and said, like, look at JFK, look at Martin Luther King, look at Malcolm X, look at, Saddam Hussein. And he named through several different people. I could even be okay with that original post, because that was not him calling for that. That was him saying, like, look, we do this. And then the original poster had commented and said, I guess you're right. My whole thing is we need to bring the temperature down. I just don't want this to bring retribution. To which the gentleman in question then made this post. And this post says, well-needed retribution, in my opinion. And that's, I don't know what he means by that, because the original commenter said that she thought that retribution would come from what had happened. And he's saying, well, I think what he's meaning is Charlie Kirk received well-needed retribution. This man, as well as his buddies on the right, have constantly provoked hate and violence towards other people and condoned gun violence to protect the NRA and people having open, unrestricted access to guns. They cheered on Kyle Rittenhouse's murder of peaceful protesters. And then here's the line. He, Charlie Kirk, deserved this. So he deserved this death. And I hope he is only the first. So to me, he's calling for more violent death of people that think differently than this commenter. It is time they reap the hate, fear, and violence they have sown. This man is the cause to his circumstance. He is neither a victim nor a hero. It's odd to me that people who are so willing to speak out against the shooting of this man, but have remained silent about the ongoing slaughter happening in Israel's genocide of Palestinians in Gaza. And so this is the comment. And I think I might have been one of the first that called on him to resign. I on my other show, The Political Spotlight, I called on the Muncie City Mayor, Dan Ridenour, to ask for this man's resignation. I called on the 9-person Muncie City Council to ask for this man's resignation. And if he refused to resign, I called on those entities, the mayor, the council, to work to remove him. And it was the city council that appoints these people. So they would have had to have removed him. And in all fairness, 12 hours later, because that was in the evening, at by 8:39, 10 o'clock in the morning the next day on September 11th, 2025, all of those entities did ask for his resignation, and he did end up resigning at like 4 or 5 o'clock that afternoon. So thank God that he did that. I applaud him for resigning. I applaud him for doing the right thing. However, when he resigned, he issued a statement, which was kind of like a sorry, not sorry type of a thing.
I don't like putting his name up for 2 reasons. One, I don't feel like he deserves, in my opinion, but once again, that's just my opinion, he doesn't deserve any publicity for what he did. But 2, I also look at the other side of it. While he seems to be far left on things, there are also people who are extremely far right, and I don't want them going to his house. And, that opens you up for so much violence. I mean, both ways. Both sides.
Absolutely.
Extreme. I don't care what side you're on. The extreme, both sides has the extreme. And, all of the things that he is hoping happens, I don't want that to happen to him. So I hope that, I feel like by us putting that up, if more than one person watches the show, they could be, well, even one person, they could be that person to be like, I'm going to find his social media and I'm going to stalk him and harass him. And I don't want that on anybody.
Don't shoot and kill anybody on our behalf.
Right. Right. But, I posted something about the freedom of speech because that's what I think a lot of Charlie supporters are more what he stood for. And freedom of speech is a big one. And I'm obviously a very outspoken person, just like you are. And so it's sad when you see someone who is out there talking what they believe in, even if it's not what I believe. It is so nice that we have that freedom to be able to do that. And so for him getting killed to me is really just, it's just a huge, huge setback for freedom of speech.
Well, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I've a lot of people who watch the show, a lot of people know me. I have actually been arrested for speaking. I've had handcuffs put on me. I've been taken to jail, booked into jail for disorderly conduct for speaking in a public open meeting, using my words to convey my thoughts to elected officials in a public space during a public meeting. These were publicly elected officials, and it was political speech. I wasn't being violent. And while I am a First Amendment purist, and while I try not to curse and be too crazy, look, I have bad language. I have a foul mouth from time to time, but I don't try to do that in mixed company. If I'm speaking to government officials, I try to be respectful and do whatever. There are times that I might slip and there might be a damn or a hell or a, this is bullshit, something like that while I'm speaking if I'm very fired up. But while I was speaking in this instance, I was not doing any of that. I wasn't yelling. Matter of fact, I was speaking at the same volume I am here. And for that, I was slammed into a wall. My hands were twisted behind my back. I was arrested. And now the prosecutor in that case said that it was an unjust arrest. It was unlawful. They denied that was a legitimate arrest. They refused to file charges. And I filed a federal First Amendment rights civil lawsuit against the city that did that, the police that were involved, and a bunch of different people, the council, the mayor, and I was victorious in that. And I've had battles like that through my career as a political commentator. And so I'm definitely a First Amendment purist, and I will fight for that. But there are consequences. The First Amendment stops the government from reacting to citizens and jailing us or doing things, stopping our freedom and stopping our liberty. It doesn't say that you will be free from consequence from your private employer or
Right.
from, other things in your life. So, that's that. I'm not into cancel culture. And so, I want to be clear there. But I think that what's happening now, because you have a lot of people calling for people to be fired from their private jobs, and that's kind of crazy to me. Go ahead.
I got something on that. So
Sure.
I'm kind of the same way you are of, consequences have actions. And I think that's what hurts people's feelings is that a lot of people are at the point right now, they think that there's no consequences for anything.
Yes.
So, but then it's crossing the line. I was on my Twitter feed popped up and I have never commented, for instance, for this person, the Attorney General for our state.
Okay.
He had posted.
Todd Rokita.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say the name, but yeah.
What? Why? Wait a minute. We can't just not say anyone's names.
Because to me, for anybody who watches, I know there's people watching out of state, like my buddy Gustavo in Texas. He's listening to this. And so to him, who the Attorney General is irrelevant. You know what I mean? It's just
It's a learning method. It's a learning moment. Hello, Gustavo. Our Attorney General is Todd Rokita.
Okay. So he posted, it was actually a Ball State employee.
Yes.
And she had made the comment, I don't wish death on anyone. I don't wish anything, like she was all of the things that we just talked about, she did none of those things.
Yes.
She just said she didn't like Charlie Kirk, but
Yes.
never, and multiple times. And I literally looked at that. I was sitting with my husband and I go, are you effing kidding me? This is the horse that Rakita rides on? Like, of all the shit in his backyard he needs to handle, I don't know the Henry County judge that's being accused of, covering up years of sexual abuse. And he decides to pick on this chick in Muncie who really didn't say anything bad. Like, I mean, wow. If he has nothing better to do with his time as the Attorney General to scroll and troll social media, and obviously I guarantee someone sent that to him. If that is your top priority, Todd, just go right now. Just get out and start.
Well, I think his top priority is trying to get disbarred. He's in all kinds. He's got a whole bunch of crazy shit going on. I'm not a fan of Todd. What?
We're not talking politics in that level.
No, I'm just saying he's got a lot of things going on. I'm not a big fan of Todd, but this is right up there with the other crazy things that there's a lot of crazy things. This to me is like, yep, that's Todd Rokita doing that. That's just how he is. I want to put these other comments up there to show what we're talking about here. These other comments are the first professor here, or director of health promotions and advocacy.
That was the one. This is the one.
Yeah, she says
after her.
She says, "Let me be clear. If you think," and now understand these highlighted areas, these were sent to me because someone wanted me to speak out and ask for this person to be fired.
I don't feel
they
like
said, look at these things. And so I said, okay. And so it says, let me be clear. If you think Charlie Kirk was a wonderful person, we can't be friends.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with that. I might disagree with that or think that's a stupid comment, but okay. She doesn't have to like you or like me. If we like Charlie Kirk, she could say, nope, that's a bridge too far for me. Okay.
I often say, you don't like chocolate, we can't be friends.
Yeah, right. His death is a tragedy, and I can and do feel for his wife and children. Okay, I agree with that. So there's nothing wrong with that line. So the first two lines are okay. I believe in the resurrection. So she apparently is a Christian. And while it's difficult, I can and do pray for his soul. Okay, there's nothing wrong with those lines. She goes on to say, Charlie Kirk's death is a reflection of the violence, fear, and hatred he sowed. It does not excuse his death, and it's a sad truth. Okay, so she's saying this does not excuse his death. So I don't think that he should have died, but it's a reflection of the violence and fear and hatred he sowed. I might not think that he sowed violence and fear and hatred. I might disagree with that. But if she says, if she's saying, I personally believe that he died because of the way he lived, that's not saying she's cheering for his death. She's just saying, I believe that that's like saying a drug dealer that gets killed in a drug transaction, like, man, they died because of the way they lived. You might not agree with it. You might not like it, but that's just a statement. So I have nothing wrong with that. I might not like it. I might not agree, but she's not said anything crazy yet. The shooting is a tragedy. I agree. And I can and do feel for a college campus experiencing an active shooter situation. I agree. The deaths of Melissa and Mark Hortman, which I've been hammered because I haven't. People say, you're not talking about that. No, I'm not talking about that now because it happened 3 months ago, but I did talk about it for a week straight 3 months ago when it first happened. And so you don't miss me with that bullshit. The children shot and killed in Minneapolis last month was a tragedy. I agree. And the children shot in Colorado the same day that Charlie was killed. That's all horrible. Are all tragedies that also deserve your attention, which I agree. Charlie Kirk excused the death of children in the name of the Second Amendment. And again, I might disagree with that, but she's not saying anything crazy there. So I mean,
that's why I commented to Rakita, this is a perfect example of someone who does not have the same viewpoint I do. But thanks to freedom of speech, she was not wanting violence. She was not asking for it. I think at the end of the day, that's where it comes down to, if you wish harm, want to promote harm, then it's a problem, because you are around students. So what happens if there is a young Charlie Kirk on Ball State campus? She may not like him. From the things I see with her, she may not like the kid, but she's not going to want to wish harm to him.
Yeah.
Now, the guy that's the Steve, what's his name? Little different. If there was someone that come before him, from what he states, I would think that he would want harm to them. So I feel, and once again, my opinion, but I feel like that's the difference of, she's not wanting harm. She's not wishing harm. She states things, but for Rokita to want to go after her, I feel like that's out of line. Totally.
Well, yeah. So we've kind of done this is too hot and maybe this is cold. Now we're going to do right in the middle. So there's a third Ball State teacher, or a third person, a second Ball State teacher. And it's this woman right here, Felicia Gray, assistant lecturer of elementary education. And I've had a couple people be like, look, she's teaching children. No, she's a Ball State professor teaching quote unquote adults, people that can go to war, people that are 18 that can vote. She is teaching them to be teachers. So she's not teaching small children. She's a Ball State professor. She said this, feels like karma paid a visit. Okay, so that's very similar to Steven's line, he deserved this. Seems like she's saying Charlie deserved this. And maybe that's the way she feels, okay? Let's go on with what she says. I mean, he condoned killing immigrants and trans people, which I disagree with that. He did not. And this is not a like, oh, I just have a difference of opinion. She's taking words out of context. Right. He was quoted as saying mass shootings or shoutings are the process you pay for the Second Amendment, and that's out of context, and it was worth it. Don't go clutching your pearls. What the hell do you people expect? This is the beginning of the darkest period in our country's history. We have a rapist, dictator, and Christian Taliban of white nationalists. Seriously, read the effing room. And people want this lady fired. So what's your thoughts on this?
Once again, don't agree with her.
Yeah.
I think sometimes words matter. She didn't say, I wish he was dead. She was like, karma. Once again, don't agree with her. But I still feel like that is a huge, huge difference from what the first guy posted.
Yeah.
And we could do this all day long. I mean, we really could. But it comes down to, it shouldn't be what I think or what you think. I mean, it should be what the standard of the university requires. And if they have not made a clear, concise decision and communicated that to their employees of what's allowed and what's not allowed.
Like a social media code of conduct, or
that they have policies. So we can all go, oh, I don't like that. But you know what the great thing is in America is I can go, oh, I don't like that. You know what? I'll never send my kid to Ball State if that's what they encourage. And that is how, when you talk about it's not cancel culture, because I'm not calling for Ball State to be shut down. I'm just saying they're the ones that employer. We are a consumer. We have the ability to choose to send our kids to any college. And if we look and see these things, then that gives us the right to say, I'm not sending my kid there. That's not what I believe. That's not what I'm aligned with. But I always look at what these people do for a living.
Yeah.
So like if they were a political science person, this lady's an educator. She teaches people who are going to be teachers. So for the fact that she has not done proper research and is spouting that aren't true, that bothers me more than her opinion.
Yeah.
Like it or hate it, a lot of the things that people are reciting is not accurate. They're talking about, I'm so sick of seeing the whole thing on the Second Amendment. Do you know of all of the people that I have asked when they're reciting, and these are people who are pro Charlie Kirk, okay? I will say, what is the Second Amendment? What's it for? Why was it there? Do you know not one person's been able to tell me? And I say it is to take on the government if needed. That's why it was created. So all of these people, and this goes back to whenever I worked for a certain political party, I would go in and talk to 4th and 5th grade students, and I would say, hey, do your parents know what a county commissioner does? Okay. And the kids would go home and they'd come back. Do you know how many of those parents had no idea what a county commissioner did?
Oh, sure.
But they all vote on it. So it kind of goes back to, with all of these situations, it's you're sitting here talking about the Second Amendment, and everybody's using their opinions, but yet most of you probably don't even know what it stands for and why it was even established. And that is concerning. So how about we get all of these people who have an opinion on right or wrong? How about we all need a history lesson to go back and learn truly the facts of things. Like, that's what we need to know. We all need a lesson. Every one of us, we need a history lesson. I think that gets fired. Misinformation, even if you look at it from like things that you read or things you hear about people that aren't true, people will hear something, get all fired up, and then they're like, oh, that's not really what happened. Once you learn the facts, people calm down.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
This is it's life anymore. Every one of us needs to go back and learn more.
So now, yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And listen, while Rachel and I are pretty much in agreement with this, I think on this topic we're pretty much in agreement. There's a lot of things we disagree on, so it's not like this is going to be just like a love fest the entire time, every episode. There's a lot of things that we disagree on. I believe that we are pretty much aligned on the same political spectrum, but there are still a lot of things we disagree on. So I think that will be a lot of good content for people later on. And while this is a first episode and we're talking, I really thought about, I was going to call this, I was going to start out with episode 3 instead of episode 1. I was just going to call it episode 3 and go on from there. So like the first episode would actually be episode 003. And then the second episode would be 4 and just go on. People would be like, where are the first 2 episodes? I'm like, this is the first episode, but it's just called episode 3. Anyways.
What does that have to do with about Charlie Kirk?
Well, I'm just saying I'm just letting people know that there are a lot of other content that we're going to have down the road where we're not going to be in so much agreement. And so I just want people to know that, like, while we are agreeing in this totally on a lot of things so far, there's going to be times that we disagree. So I want people to know that. But the Ball State University came out and they made a statement, and the statement is this: the administration at Ball State University is aware of social media posts by 2 university employees. Both posts were on the employees' personal accounts, and the posts do not reflect the culture on campus nor the enduring values of university. Now, I don't know how they can say they do or don't reflect the culture on campus, because if these people feel this way and they're taking these things into the classroom, then it would, or it could reflect the culture on campus. We don't know. I think that's kind of a crazy statement to make. Anyways, the administration is gathering additional information about the post in order to determine what discipline, if any, is appropriate and permissible under the First Amendment to the Constitution. And so that's a statement. And I agree with that. So I wanted to put that up just so people would see what's going on there. Now, as of the taping of this episode, both of those teachers are remaining in their positions. And I agree with those. A lot of people are going to disagree with me on that, or you and I on that. But I think what happened with Stephen was good. And I think that's because he was a public official. There are a lot of other people out there saying, I'm cheering Charlie Kirk's death, and I think others need to die. I'm not making any comments on those. I think those people are trash, garbage individuals. I think they're lunatics. If those statements they make would get them a knock on their door by police, that may or may not happen. I'm not calling on the police to go there. I'm just saying, like, if that happens in their neck of the woods, I guess that's on them. They have to live with the consequences. When I was very young, I had a hard time getting to 5th period from 4th period. 4th period was gym class, and I always wanted to shower after gym. I'm a clean freak, a germaphobe, and so I was one of the people that always showered after gym class. And so I always had a hard time getting to 5th period. And 5th period was this asshole teacher, Mrs. Smith, English teacher, who you were tardy if you were in the classroom. If the bell rang and you were inside the door, you were tardy if you weren't in your seat. Okay. You had to be in your seat or you were tardy. She wrote the most kids up for tardies, like daily. She would write 5, 6, 7 kids up. I was one that was tardy every day to her class. My junior year, sophomore, junior year, I was a year older than the people in my class, so I had my driver's license. I might have been sophomore year. I had received more in-school suspensions than anyone else in the school probably ever. I had 17 separate in-school suspensions, and in-school suspensions are 3 days out of are in school. So
I may or may not have gotten one of those in my life.
Yeah, right. So that means for each one of those 17, I had 3 days where I was out of the classroom and down in this like dungeon with Mrs. Franklin, this woman that had this horrible beehive. She was from like the 1800s, and it was horrible. She was such a just dragon taskmaster. Anyways, and on this Friday that I happened to have, I was going in, I had been like tardy again on Thursday. So then I was supposed to start my 3-day reign of in-school suspension on Friday, Monday, and Tuesday. Get it?
Mm-hmm.
So I was tardy on a Thursday, and that was like the last one. That was like the last draw for that one. And she was like, okay, in-school suspension. So it would have started on Friday. I would have had the weekend, and then I would have had 2 more days, Monday and Tuesday. But on Friday, we were going to have a field day starting at like noon. So we have like a couple hours of classes, and then we were going to go outside and be outside for whatever reason for the rest of the day. And I told my dad the night before, I was like, man, I really want to go outside with like my friends. I was like, but I have in-school suspension tomorrow. And my dad said, well, what happens if you don't go to in-school suspension? You just go to your regular classes and then you go to field day. And I said, well, if I don't go to in-school suspension on Friday, I'll probably get kicked out of school for at least a day, like an out-of-school suspension. And my dad said, well, are you willing to live with that consequence? And I said, what do you mean? And he said, it sounds to me like you've got a couple of choices. You can go to in-school suspension on Friday like you're supposed to, or you can go to your regular classes up until field day, and then you can go to field day, and if you get caught, you'll get in trouble, or when you go back to school on Monday, whatever. And I said, okay. I said, so, I see what you're saying. He said, you just got to be willing to live with the consequences of your actions. And so Friday came, I went to school, went to my regular classes, field day, had a great day with all my friends on Friday. Had like a sleepover that night. I was in a band, so we like practiced and played with all the guys and had a great weekend. Monday comes, I go down to in-school suspension. I'm sitting in there, 2nd period, the bell rings, and that's when they did like the announcements. And at the end of the announcements, the vice principal called down and asked me to come to the office. And I went to the office, and he said, hey, you didn't go to in-school suspension on Friday. And I said, yeah, no, I didn't. And he said, why didn't you do that? I said, because my dad told me I didn't have to. He called my dad, and my dad's like, that's not what I told him. And so long ago at that time, and probably earlier, I learned you can do whatever you want in life as long as you're willing to pay the consequences. And, I've been a police officer, and it always amazes me that how many people out there don't understand that concept. that you can do literally anything that you want. You can go rob a bank, you can kill a person, you can do drugs, you can cheat on your spouse, you can live a law-abiding life and do it. But whatever you do, there are going to be consequences to it, good and or bad, and you've got to be willing to live with those consequences. And so it always amazes me, the people that can't do that or don't understand that. I guess that's the thing that shocks me, I guess, is people's inability to live with consequences of their actions.
And you know, I kind of blame social media for that, because I was talking about that with someone. Like, for instance, everything going on here as society, you know, back in the day, that's it. You'd have a problem with somebody, you'd get in a fight, you'd move on, but you still had to, almost every person, think about it, that got in a fight in school. Fast forward however long you've been out of school, most of them get along, don't have a problem.
You're friends with people.
They've moved back, you know, they've gotten past it.
Yeah.
Social media has allowed people to, you know, you and I are on opposing sides. So you're going to post something, I'm going to post something back, and then we're going to go back and forth, and then one of us is going to outwit the other. I'm just going to say you and I've debated, so I'm going to be the one that outwits you.
Oh, okay. Yes.
I outwit you, and then what happens? You get pissed off and you start attacking me personally.
Sure.
You have nothing to stand on. You realize you're not going to win. So now, well, what can I say mean about you that hurts your feelings? And then when that doesn't work, then we're going to block each other, right? Because you're going to get mad, and then you're going to block me. Or I'm going to get mad that you've attacked me personally, and I'm going to block you. No consequences for what's said. No, you know, social media has allowed everyone to not be able to problem solve, to work together, no conflict resolution. And I think a lot of people, when they do interviews, that needs to be the first thing they focus on, is how people handle conflict resolution, because now everybody runs to HR. One thing is said, no one knows how to work anything out anymore at all. So I blame social media for that. And I hate to be that person, you know, like back in our day, our parents were like, it's the video games. And we're like, no, it's not, Mom. You know, but now I sound like an old person going, it's social media. It is. I contribute a lot of this, the issue of where we are as a society.
Have you ever heard, I've talked about this on the other show, but have you ever heard the theory on, so.
Did you hear that?
What?
I said, I really don't listen to your other show.
Yeah, that's the number one thing people always say to me. They're like, I don't listen to that. And I'm like, neither do I.
Like, I mean, if it's a topic, but I don't. I mean, I'll be the first to admit, you know, I'm not like a religious listener. I listen when you're like, hey, this is what I'm going to talk about.
Oh, sure.
Check it out. Then I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, no, yeah. I'm like people that I talk to on a frequent basis. I'm like, there's no point in you listening. If I need you to know something, I'll tell you. Like, right. You don't have to watch. Like, you'll hear from me if there's something you need to know.
Right. I'll say, what are you talking about? And you're like, Madison County. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good.
Right. I thought those were the shows that you watched. You definitely watched.
Definitely do not watch.
Okay.
And if you talk about state level stuff, typically I'm like, ugh, I get the ick. I'm just disappointed. And I am disappointed across the board in all of our politicians.
Oh, well, yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. Oh, man. For 10 seconds, I looked up and thought that this had been paused the whole time.
And I would have kicked your ass. I'd be like, we're not doing this again. Not doing it. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's like, all right, just no show. We lied. Which, yeah. Okay. Anyways, all right, getting back to this.
Or we could just cut out, like right in the middle of a really good conversation. And then people would be like, oh, wait, they're coming back on. And then we just come back next week. We pick right back. Or then we just start a whole new topic, and people are like, what happened last week? Oh, I don't know. We can finish it. Like, we just left that.
Yeah. That. My point, getting to what you were talking about. So, if you think back to like ancient times, like when in Greece, when the philosophers were doing their thing, like Plato and Socrates, you know, they always had these ancient schools where they were just kind of like laying around and talking about things. And they would sit around and they would talk about religion and philosophy and politics and all of these like really hot button topics. And they would think about things back and forth, and they would debate and they would talk. And look, people killed each other for their opinions back then as well, but it was different. It wasn't nearly as much as what we're seeing today and all the craziness. But as time went on, what's the thing that they've always said in America? It's been said for a very long time, that the two things you don't talk about are politics and religion.
Yep.
Keep your mouth quiet. Don't talk about politics and religion. You don't talk about that in mixed company. You don't talk about that out of the home or out of the church. And I think that has been so detrimental to people. Well, then the late 90s happened, and AOL comes on and internet comes on, and everybody's getting home from school and dialing up and age, sex, location. And what's the first thing they taught us? And what's the first thing that happened when you got online? Don't ever give your real name.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ever tell people who you are, where you're from. Like, don't give your address. Don't give your city. The most you could do was like give your state or whatever. Use a fake profile picture. Use Bigger Dixon 69 screen name. Don't ever use your real name. And what happened was people started realizing, I'm anonymous. I can say whatever I want to say, wherever I want to say it, to whoever I want to say it to, and there are going to be zero consequences to this. And so people started spouting off that shit that before was in their heads, and that they might think, or they might tell their friend or their brother or their spouse or someone at work, but they're not saying this to the larger, world. But now all of these people running around with these fake names and these hidden profiles are saying just this most vile, awful shit on 4chan and 8chan and, in chat rooms and all of this. Well, then we progress forward a bit more.
I know where you're going.
You get social media. What?
I know where you're going with this.
You get social media. And now we've got Facebook and X and all of this stuff. And now you don't have a hidden profile. You've got your name and your face and your family and where you work and all of this shit online. But we've been programmed for the last 15 years to say whatever we want. So now we lose the anonymity. We've got ourselves on here for the most part. But like YouTube and other places, you can still be hidden. But people
now on Facebook, you can do anonymous, and
well,
that
sure, you can
takes the piss out of me.
Oh, I hate those anonymous people.
I do too.
I hate that.
Say it with your chest. Say it with your chest.
Yeah, absolutely. But the point is, we've been trained, and now we can say whatever we want. People are out here doing this, but what we're lacking is the ability for debate. People can say whatever, but they're not willing to listen. And they're not willing to be wrong. They're not willing to be able to agree to disagree. We lost the ability. We should have been able to debate politics and religion all along in society. And that way we could have known, it's okay to be wrong. It's okay. And we've also lost civics. Civics aren't taught in schools anymore.
I believe that every student should have been taught Robert's Rules of Order.
Yeah, I think that would be an important thing. I think the Constitution needs to be covered. I think that needs to be a class, where they just teach the Constitution and what these things mean. Schools are so screwed up to begin with that, they need to teach people. I don't know what class it was. I was in a class where they gave us a checkbook and
probably home ec.
It was like a maths class I was in. I don't know what it was, but we had to like balance the checkbook, and they gave us like all of us. They gave us these fake amounts of money, like our paycheck every week.
That was in my basic accounting class.
And okay, it might have been something like that I had. Because I'm not a maths person, but we had to learn to balance the budget. We had to apply for a loan and learn how to fill out the paperwork and things like that. And they don't do that shit anymore. They don't teach people how to do that. And it's like, dude, we are teaching our kids to be mentally deficient now.
Do you know why?
China and all of these other places. Why?
No child left behind. No, I don't know. No, it goes back to, I mean, truly, the studies are showing that kids are reading at a lower level.
Oh, yeah.
But they've took away so many things from teachers. It's also independent thinking. We had teachers back in the day who taught, they were following a basic curriculum, but they weren't mandated of every step. How can that was the good thing about everybody can go back and go, oh, I had this one teacher, they impacted me in life, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. They made me think, they challenged me, and how many kids can say that now? Because every teacher is dictated step by step of what they're required to do. Yeah. And they're not able to show their true talent.
It's all mindless. Kind of like.
And so how can you challenge a kid? Not every kid is the same. I was a kid who was super smart in school, but also learned how to take advantage of the system. So you were telling your story. Here's mine. I had a math teacher, Mr. Reilly. He's from Newcastle. And I disagreed with how he did his grading scale. Okay. And I can't remember, but it was like, homework only counted for 10 or 15% of your grade. And then your weekly quizzes and your exams accounted for everything else. I'm going to say 90 and 10. So why would I do homework? If I can get an A on every quiz and every test, I can still carry the honor roll, and I'm not going to waste my Monday through Thursday of the homework he gave me of mindless bullshit because I already knew it. Yeah. When I can just hop into class Friday and take my quiz. Yeah. So every single day, then he got smart. So then he started just kicking me out in the hallway every day, thinking that if I was going to I missed his lecture. Well, even with the door shut, I could still hear what he was saying. And also, all my friends that are walking by. You're not really punishing me. You're making my life easier. I can go out and I can catch up on homework. I can do whatever. I mean, I had I think for one semester, I had a permanent desk out in the hallway. Walked in. If I didn't turn my homework in, it was straight out to the hall. Like, you're not punishing me. You've got to challenge me in a good way because that's what's going to keep my attention. I don't know. I also had a, reputation of like my family, the last name kind of carried. So I had a lot of teachers who didn't like me because of the last name, because I had all uncles and who were troublemakers and kicked out of school and didn't graduate and all that. So I had an uphill battle. So sometimes I just gave them a reason not to like me. I love it. That's amazing. And my kids were the same way. Teachers hated Ryan. They hated her.
I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's just that it's kind of it's a bad thing when
students are smarter than teachers.
If you're a witty person and you know it, that can be a bad thing sometimes. Yeah. Specifically when you're smarter than a teacher, or at least you believe that you are.
I have she was 7 at the time. My youngest, she's 8 now. Kendall, how's school? She says, Mom, it's like prison. And I said, what do you mean like prison? This is a 2nd grader. And she was like, well, we can't just get up and leave class, like to go to the bathroom. We have to ask permission to go to the bathroom. When we're out on recess, we're fenced in. So we're in the yard.
Yeah.
We at lunch, they assign our seats. There's no independent thinking. She is in 2nd grade and looking at it this way. And she's right. And I'm like, damn, she's right. I mean, it is kind of crazy.
It is.
So where are we challenging these kids to be independent thinkers when that's like, you talk about consequences. Okay, you can go to the bathroom. You guys get 1 a day. like without restroom breaks or one a week or whatever. Choose it wisely.
That's
Oh,
nuts.
same way with lunch. You guys can sit with who you want until you can't behave. And then once you can't behave, guess what? You're going to sit in the corner by yourself. But that's all gone away because parents, well, don't treat my kid that way. I'm like, handle my kid how's needed.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that blows my mind. School is so it's so much different. I couldn't even, it would blow my mind to go back for people to go back in to school and deal with it. Like I could not deal with school of today.
Yeah, you have to, in Kendall's grade, you have to invite every kid in the class if you're having a birthday party.
That's so crazy. And
it's not even like excluding kids. Things are expensive now.
Yeah, right.
People can't afford. By the time you buy a cake and you buy, like all of the gift bags and all of the things that are required, some people want to throw their kid a birthday party, but they can't afford to feed 26 kids. And so that is so unfair because then kids can't have a lot of kids. Well, we'll just go out with the family. Do I think that schools could do it better hey, you have to give it to them or sneak it to them in a locker or, after school.
Just mind your own damn business and let them do it like we've always done it. You invite the people you invite. You're not friends with everybody. Like I was friendly with everybody in my class, like always. But there are people that you're friends with and people that you're acquaintances with. You're not going to be friends with it. That's that weird ass. People hate the term, that woke type of, well, you can't leave but people get left out of shit.
But here also comes down to, so if I were a teacher, which I should have no business being a teacher, if my kid comes in, and I get it, the one kid that never gets them, if everybody in the class but one kid gets invited, but that's also about going back to just being a good human. As a teacher, I would sit that kid down and say, hey, I respect your right, but let's think about it. What if the shoe was on the other foot? What happens if 25 kids in this class have a party and every time you're the only one not invited? How bad would you feel? And so I would try to teach that kid a little bit of thinking independently of, do you really want to do that? Just try to help make that kid a better person because clearly he's not hearing it from home. Because if my kid wanted to exclude one person, I'd be like, well, I really don't care if you don't want that. You're not going to leave one kid out. You're not going to do it. You're going to invite every kid or you're going to invite no kids. What do you want?
Wait a minute. I would just be like, who invites everybody?
I mean, we did
just
that.
Invite the 3 people that you want or 4 people that you want and tell the others to screw off. I get what, like in the things where you're going to have like a skate party, I guess you be like, get you invite everybody or whatever. But yeah, you would want to invite everybody. Of course, not everyone's going to come or whatever, but yeah, that's a crazy thing, man.
That goes back to, that shouldn't be a school problem. That's a parent problem.
That is a parent issue. That's definitely not a school issue. Yeah. I don't know how we got derailed into the school thing.
I know.
That's not a problem. I wanted to put this up as we were talking earlier, because this is a big thing that I'm having a problem with. Have you seen this going around? This is a typed out thing that they're saying. These are this is going around with the caption. This is things that Charlie Kirk has said or things that he thinks. Have you seen this?
I have not,
people should
but
be stoned
I
to death.
actually watched the part on the black pilot. I've seen that part, and that's definitely not what he said.
That's not what he said. Yeah.
Nope.
Okay. So good. Okay. So so this thing's been going around. I've seen this. People have posted this under my content that I've put out about it. I've seen this all over Twitter. I've seen it on Rumble. I've seen this everywhere where people are posting this saying like, look, I cannot believe that you are talking good about this person. Look what he thinks. He thinks Taylor Swift should reject feminism and submit to her husband. Oh my God, the horror. No one should be allowed to retire. That's just comedy to me. What's the one thing that he said that I didn't get to hit the other night when I talked about this?
MLK Jr. was an awful person.
What?
They're saying that he said MLK Jr. was an awful person.
Well, okay, so let's talk about this. They're saying Charlie Kirk is an awful person. Do they have the right to think that?
Yeah.
So I don't know that. So so about this list. Yesterday or the day before, I went down through every single one of these things. Took me a couple of hours, and I looked down and I researched this. Now, the problem with Charlie Kirk is I don't know how often he put out a show. I don't know if he did a daily show. I don't think he did a daily. It might have been weekly. He would do a weekly podcast. It's so weird because they're not really podcasts. Podcasts are audio. You listen to it. You put it in your earbud. You don't see video. These are a little bit different. I guess it's a podcast, but whatever. Anyways.
It's a podcast with pictures.
Yeah. He would, I don't know how frequently he would do that. He had a whole network and a bunch of different people have spots on there, and he put out content, and it would routinely be an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours long. He would do these events at school that from start to finish would be 2-3 hours long. And those videos and that content is all out there. They put it out on all forms of social media, and they blasted it everywhere.
Let's not forget South Park, where you're a master debater.
Yeah, master debater. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second too. The social media world, even he would do it, would then take those videos and clip them down from a 3-hour video to a 15-second blurb, to a 30-second blurb, to a 3-minute blurb. And people are now taking these blurbs, sometimes even just a sentence out of you're taking one sentence out of a 2-minute speech, a 2-minute little blurb, and they're saying, look, he said the 1964 civil rights movement was horrible for black people. That was bad. And it's like, well, he said those words with other words mixed in a lot of context.
That's they're leaving out
people are missing.
They're misconstruing.
You can't just listen to a 15-second clip and be like, see, he's going to stone gay people. He was reading from Leviticus, and he was talking about the Leviticus is in the Old Testament.
Mm-hmm.
And he
was. Wait, can you recite your Bible chapters?
No.
Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus.
I want to see you do this.
Deuteronomy. Yeah, I'll have to go back.
Stop.
Yeah, and then I can do Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts. Yeah. I actually was a Bible Bowl when I was a kid, and it had to
what?
Yes, and it had to name off all the chapters.
That's amazing.
Name off the books. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, we would stand up and see who could name the most. And
when did you win?
I don't know. When I was a kid, I went. My dad used to be a deacon in a church. He has preached before. You know that I have an uncle that's a preacher. I was born.
Didn't know this.
Yeah, I went to church every Sunday morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday night.
Really?
And I took a lot of kids in high school with me and got them involved in youth group.
I didn't know that.
Went to church camp every Sunday or every summer. Yeah.
Wow.
Centrifuge was the name of it. I was part of Carpenters for Christ, where we would go build churches for people.
I love the alliteration. That's amazing.
So
Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. I can never say that. Joshua, Judges, Ruth.
Paul.
No, damn it. Judges, Ruth, Samuel 1 and 2, Kings 1 and 2, Chronicles 1 and 2, Ezra, Nehemiah, Esther, Job,
Are you reading these off the computer?
No, my eyes are closed.
Oh.
Can you not see
Psalms
my
should
eyes
be
are
coming
closed?
up.
What?
Psalms should be coming up. Hey, you know what?
Do it.
I mean, it's right here. I've got a Bible right on my
Can you not look at it? It doesn't say, is there like a in the middle of it?
Yeah, there is.
Psalms is after Job.
Okay. Job. It is Psalms. I said Psalms was coming up.
I said that after Job.
Yeah. Then Proverbs.
Okay,
Then
Proverbs.
Oh, no, then Song of Salt. Why are we going over this? Okay.
Wait a minute.
If we want to do that, we need to have a Bible study rather than a podcast.
Ecclesiastes. That's my favorite book of the Bible, Ecclesiastes. Anyways, so that's what he was doing in that. Okay. And so he went down, and every single one of these things that people are using as this is why you should hate him. It's like you can disagree, you can not like it, but he didn't say those things. There's more context to it. This is the other part of this. So for people that are not from our neck of the woods, you will not know this person I'm going to talk about, but for people in Muncie, Delaware County, East Central Indiana, and look, he did achieve some national fame for a while. We had a Delaware County councilor called Ryan Webb, and he's a very outspoken conservative, very much believes that there are two genders. It's really crazy because a lot of people talk about how hateful he is. He doesn't hate gay people. He doesn't hate trans people. He just says, this is what my belief is. I've seen him interact or heard him interact with gay people. I think he's told this story. There was a time when he was at maybe Kings Island. Ooh. And there was a family member. I'm not going to out what family member, but there was a family member that was kind of a younger person, like teens, late teens, whatever. And they kind of thought they were being cool and talked to him. And they saw a trans person, and they went up to Ryan and said, "Hey, look at that freak over there." And Ryan looked, and Ryan's like, "Look, that's not why. I don't think that's cool. I don't say that like that. That's a person." And, I'm not running around. He's not just running around bashing people who are going through this in their life. There was a person in a store. Ryan told one time that he went into a liquor store, and that the person behind the cash register was gay, I believe. And the person knew who Ryan was and started talking to him. And they had a conversation, and they were being real shitty to him and being like, like, you're a bad person, blah, blah, blah. And Ryan's like, "Look, I don't have an issue with you." And like, Ryan's like, if I came in here and someone was giving you shit, like, I would stand up for you. And the person's like, "What? Like, why would you be like that? Like, you're not, and Ryan's like, "Look, I don't wish anything bad on you. I'm just saying, like, I don't want to be jammed into any corner. You don't want me to decide things for you, and I don't want you to decide things for me. I just want us to both live and just live and let live." And people don't realize that, but people are saying like, "Well, Bilbrey, like you've got this thought about, this Steven that said these words, and you think he needs to be fired, but yet you didn't say anything about Ryan Webb." Well, Ryan never called for any trans people to be killed. He never called for gay people to be killed. Ryan maybe said provocative and outrageous things if you disagree with the things that he said.
But didn't he also go through a whole thing where he identified, what did he identify as? I really should know this, but I don't follow him or keep up on him.
So that's the thing that brought him the national attention. He went through a period of time where he identified as a Native American woman, and went through a period of time in which it was about a year. It was, I think, about a whole year where he went through this period of time where he identified. And of course, there were people out there saying, oh, he's doing that, just taking the piss. He's mocking, making a mockery. And, you know, look, I can't tell you 100% what was in his heart or his mind. He said that he was going through personal discovery, and that it was a challenge, and, you know, he didn't know where it was going to end up. And at the end of some self-discovery, he decided that, no, he was still going to just be a white male.
I call total bullshit. I did not follow it, but I mean, I find that offensive, actually. And this is where you and I disagree.
Yeah.
I think it's absolutely a mockery. And that's pretty shitty. I mean,
I'm gonna say this.
I think that he was out to prove a point.
I think he was out to prove a point.
And you should not prove a point mocking other people. You shouldn't. I don't
think that it was not a.
Ooh, that's gonna probably catch me some hell when people. But that's just how I feel.
I think no, that's fine. That's fine. I think that he was a.
I mean, it sounds like he was a jerk.
No, I think it was a. I'll be honest. I think it was an interesting experiment because you like that he stirred the pot. It's not stirring the pot. It's that immediately. I know. I mean, I'm not saying that he didn't. I'm saying it's not. I don't. It's not that I like that he stirred the pot. I'm interested in the fact that when he claims this, because what do we always hear? We hear a lot of times that people that are closeted, that have a hard time coming out or whatever, a lot of times you'll hear that they have self-hatred, and so they will act out, and they will sometimes, those people like that. So what if he was really going through something and he was exploring? You know what I didn't ever see? Not in any of the time that this happened, I never saw anybody from the left. I never saw anyone from the trans community. I never saw anyone from the LGBTQ community ever seem like they even tried to make an approach and say, okay, is this for real? Like, are you, like, they never approached him in kindness. Not once, not ever, never, never, never. It was from the start, hey, screw you, pal. Like, this is a joke. You're an idiot. You need to be removed, blah, 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 blah. And as I'm like, that's where I'm like, where's the tolerance? Where's even the trying to understand? And so I think what it did was the reason I am not like, oh, I think that this was just shitty, is I think he exposed a not so tolerant community. It's tolerant if you're willing to jump in line and believe what I believe. But if you don't believe what I believe, or if you don't do it the way that I do it, then I got a problem with you. And let me tell you where I'm going from on this. Because, you know, going all the way back to what we first started talking about, you know, when I said the original poster that said, we don't kill people we disagree with, you know who I'm talking about with that, right? You know who I'm talking about made it? You know who the original poster is?
Are you talking about the Steven guy?
Yeah. So, yeah. I'm not going to say the original poster's name, because that person's a private citizen that was whatever. But you know who I'm talking about that made it? Do you know who made it? Think really hardly. It's someone that's involved in the... Hold on. So, here's the thing that I'm getting at with this.
Text it to me.
I am. So that original poster, okay, that made that had to turn the comments off because that person was getting hate because they weren't going far enough. That person was people were getting mad at that person because how dare you say we don't murder people we disagree with? That is a problem to me. So you know what I mean? It's like they'll eat their own. If you're not willing to do it the way that we do it, then we are coming after you. And I think that what he did was expose that. Now, would I have done that? And I've said this from the get-go. No, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it that way. I think there's other ways you could have done it. You know, I'll be honest, I think he even makes a statement. That's the reason he's not an elected councilor anymore. That got him defeated.
And I'm not saying, let's just say that that's absolutely the case. And he truly did identify as a Native American female.
He does have Native American in his family. So I will take that.
So do I.
Yeah, right.
But I'm not going out and proclaiming it. You know what else I'm not doing? If I were his wife, I'd whip his ass. I mean,
talked about that.
Oh, look, the thumb just popped up again with bubbles.
Weird.
I think it's whenever I do a thumbs up, it pops up.
Do it again.
It is.
That's so weird. It's just on your side. That's so strange.
Yeah. Anyways, to me, that's if his wife is a straight woman, and that to me is disrespectful to, if he's so conservative, like he says, then I feel like this whole deal makes him, and why are we talking about something that happened forever ago? But I feel like it makes him a hypocrite because you're standing on these morals of, I'm very conservative and, I believe in, husband and wife, and I don't agree with trans. Well, you're disrespecting your family because even you have better avenues to go out and speak on how you, like you and I have just sat here and done. We have sat and stood up and to me, that's the cowardly way. That's like the most passive aggressive way that you can take a stand for what you believe is by throwing it in their face and being like, well, I'm going to prove a point. No. Hey, Ryan, if you're educated in what you say, you get out and you speak it just like Charlie Kirk did. Doesn't have to be popular, doesn't have to be whatever, but you don't go in and pretend to be something that you're not to prove that people are, he's doing exactly what he said. You said it yourself. Well, he exposed all of these people for not supporting him. Well, you literally exposed yourself for being a hypocrite because you don't believe in those things, but you're going to pretend that you're something you're not to expose another group. You're no better. Sorry.
That's interesting. Have we never talked about this before?
Nope. I remember when this was going on, but I mean, I kind of had my own shit going on at that point. So
yeah, right.
Not to say it's always all about me, but at that moment, I really didn't give a shit.
Well, yeah, that's because that's when you thought you were a man,
right? I've always said I am more manly. I'm definitely not girly girl at all.
That's
one of the dudes.
That is definitely true. No, that's interesting. We've never talked about that. That's interesting. I'll be interested to see what people say about that. And I want to tell folks, if you want to email the show, and you should email the show, you can email us at bcshowdump@gmail.com. Everyone's like, what? I don't understand. Dump. It's because it's an email dump. So that's where everything will be. bcshowdump@gmail.com. You can email us there if you have ideas for the show. We're going to have guests on from time to time where we're going to explore their thoughts and feelings and things in their life, and we're going to explore our thoughts and feelings on all kinds of different things. If there are things that you would like us to talk about or things that you would like us to explore, you can email us at bcshowdump@gmail.com. You can also connect with us on Facebook at facebook.com/Bilbrey Clark Show. That's a way that you can get a hold of us. You should go there and like or follow or whatever you do on Facebook. I don't even know what it is anymore. We also have a Twitter account. That's x.com or X account, x.com/Bilbrey X Clark. It's Bilbrey X Clark. Then obviously our YouTube page where you can get the video and hear from us and see the show every Saturday and shorts that we make or whatever other content that we drop on YouTube. You can find that at youtube.com/@Bilbrey Clark Show. youtube.com/@Bilbrey Clark Show. Go subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. You can do it for free. And that way you will get notified. What?
I had to tell somebody that they don't have
I'm like, dude, it doesn't cost you anything, damn it. Yeah, so it's so easy. Just go subscribe, free. You can watch. If you're someone that's on the road, you're in a truck, you drive, or you do different things, mowing the yard, you're in the bathtub, and you don't care to watch, you just want to hear, you can find us. We're going to be on most podcast hosting sites, most of the big ones, iTunes, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Radio Public, Amazon Music, all of those things, you'll be able to find us there. But we also have our home link, our home podcast channel, which is Bilbrey Clark Show.fireside.fm, Bilbrey Clark Show.fireside.fm. And you can find it all there. So that's how you get a hold of us, how you listen, and that's what happens. And then our shows will drop every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. So please follow us there and contact us. If you have something that you think about this show and you want to tell us, do that. Maybe in the future, if we get some good feedback from people, we'll open up a phone line and have people call in and do voicemails or something like that we can play in and talk. And so that's definitely a good place to put that. Okay. Back to you. So go ahead.
Ryan Webb, I'm sure you're a nice person. It's not personal.
Jesus.
Don't be upset.
Oh, he'll be upset.
Oh, really?
You'll
really?
Hear from him. No.
I don't know him.
You don't give a shit. What?
I don't know him.
He's all right.
I think we were Facebook friends for a while, but I think that's why you know what? That's the great thing of having different opinions. I would see things, I think, whenever he started this, that I had to take him off. Let me look and see but I couldn't. I just, at the time, the stuff he was posting was not things I aligned with. Oh, you know what? I am Facebook friends with him now because I remember that when he was running, I didn't like necessarily a lot of the things he was saying. I do remember this now. But then once he got elected, I followed him because I realized he was holding people accountable. So I added him back as friends, but not his political page. I think I just did his personal.
Here's the greatest thing about him is,
but I've never seen a post of his on my Facebook page, which we talked about that algorithm today.
Yeah. Here's the greatest thing about it is you might hate him for his belief or his opinion nationally or what he believes politically wise. But as far as being an elected official at the local level, he was the best Delaware County Councilor that we had. He was the only one that asked serious questions of the department heads coming in and wanting appropriation after appropriation after appropriation. He would put information out to the public. He would always be the first person to let the public know X, Y, and Z, and there just wasn't, still hasn't been another counselor that is willing to be as transparent as what Ryan was. And so, love him or hate him, he was a damn good local elected official, and his opinions played no fact into how he treated a citizen or citizens coming before him while he was on the job, on the clock, doing his work. So, he's definitely interesting for people who are hardcore conservative. I'll put it to you this way. His values rightly align in a lot of ways with Charlie Kirk's. And that's a national political standpoint, but for the local level, he was a damn good. Matter of fact, he's running again, and I'm going to vote for him.
I was just getting ready to say, I feel like that you are doing a political plug for him right now.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying.
I knew it. God, I know you.
Yeah, right. No, I mean, I'm just saying it's, that's something big that I have a problem with people that lack transparency on the local level, and I think he does a great job at that. So, yeah, I will be voting for him again. There's that. So, I guess we can kind of start wrapping up. What?
Oh, no, go ahead.
Well, I mean, just in thinking, so where are your thoughts? Where do we go from here? And I'm going to pull back the curtain just a little bit, especially on this first one. It won't be so much like this once we get rolling in the future.
Well, this is what I think we need to do.
Hold on, wait. Remember that. Keep that one thought. In the future, it'll be closer together between when we record and when the show airs.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, it's kind of funky because the show's going to air
2 weeks.
2 weeks from today. So we're talking about a bunch of things that when you're watching this, God only knows what's going to have happened in the next 2 weeks.
Right.
So you're going to have to take this with a grain of salt that, we can't see into the... I am very, very good, but that's not something I have been able to do yet. I'm still trying to make that happen, but until I can see into the future, there's going to be a whole lot of things that you're going to watch this and be like, what the hell? They don't know this. They didn't talk about this. They didn't talk about this. Give us a little bit of room. After this show, it will be closer together. Hopefully nothing crazy happens, and it's very calm between now and the 27th. So when you're watching this, everything will have pretty much been
exactly
timeline-wise. Everything will be okay, and then
it'll just be dying down, and then we're gonna poke it again,
and let it come all up.
Yeah, get everybody fired up. That's what's gonna happen.
Absolutely. Well, okay. I think this was a first good episode. What do you think?
I think so too.
A good second attempt at a first episode.
Right.
I should have just called it episode 3. I knew I should have done that. That would have been so much better. So
yeah, because if you did that, then people are like, what happened to 1 and 2? And be like, you make it a year.
We'll release
how grown in a year.
Right. Share the show with everyone you know. Help spread the word, and we will see you
next week. That
sounds fantastic. All right. Bye.
Bye.
That's a wrap for the Bilbrey and Clark Show. Be sure to like, subscribe, and or follow, depending on the platform you're on. Follow the show on X at BilbreyXClark or on Facebook at Facebook.com/Bilbrey Clark Show. And email your hot takes to bcshowdump@gmail.com. New episodes drop every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, X, and all podcast platforms, including the home site at BilbreyClarkShow.fireside.fm. That's going to do it for the Bilbrey and Clark Show. So be sure to share the show with everyone you know.